Welcome, everybody. We welcome you to our presentation today on BASIS International School Shenzhen. So good morning or good evening, wherever you're joining us from around the world. We're really excited to share some insights about this particular school. This is the first international school that we have as part of the network, and really looking forward to sharing some insights. Today, we will be joined by Scott Adams, who is the head of school. We'll also be joined by Mark Hartley, who is the vice head of school and head of primary. And we're excited to share a number of things with you. What we'll be covering today includes insights on the school. Dr. Adams and Mark will be sharing lots of insights about the school, the city. We'll then talk about aspects of the network as a whole, some things that are important to be aware of and know in considering an opportunity with BASIS. And we'll touch on the benefits, visa requirements, and then we'll have a Q&A session at the end. So it gets to be my pleasure to welcome Dr. Adams and Mark Hartley. And Scott, really excited to hear about your school. We've gone through the first year in the brand new campus, and really excited to hear what you have to share with us on that. So I will turn things over to you and look forward to hear what you have to say.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tim, for that introduction. And hello, everybody out there in the world, wherever you happen to be. Here in Shenzhen, it's Friday the 13th, about 8 o'clock in the morning. And I'm here with my colleague just to my left, and that's Mr. Mark Hartley, and he'll introduce himself in a bit. I just want to welcome everybody and thanks for your interest in learning more about BASIS International School Shenzhen, and which is the flagship school of the BASIS China organization. Before we talk about the school, let me just give you a little brief bio about myself. I have the pleasure of being now the second year as the head of school at this fabulous school here in Shenzhen. And before this, I was also operating as a head of school in the country of Costa Rica. And prior to that, I've had an international career in 4 other countries around the world. I'm from California, San Diego, and that's my hometown. And I've had a very fabulous and quite grateful career in international education as a teacher, as a principal, and as a division head, and then as a head of school. And I'm very fortunate and lucky to land now in my second year, as I mentioned, here with BASIS China. So that's a little bit about myself. And I'm going to give Mr. Hartley a chance to introduce himself. He's going to speak a little bit later on. I'll do the first parts, and then he'll carry on a little bit later on. But I'd like for him to talk about who he is as well.
Good morning. Welcome to all of those who are viewing this webinar this morning. Thanks to Scott for introducing me. I'm Mark Hartley. I've been here in Shenzhen now. This is my second year as vice head of the school and head of primary. Before that, I was with another BASIS school up in Nanjing, where I was vice head up there and also head of the upper school. Prior to this, I've been in Kenya for a couple of years, but predominantly my career has been based in prep schools in the UK. Great place to be. And I look forward to talking a little bit more about our students and Shenzhen life in general later on.
Here, this picture that we wanted to start off with is what we have as our fabulous new school. Tim made reference to it a little bit earlier. Even though the school is now going on its 10th year, we started in 2015, this new campus just opened in 2023. So roughly a year and a month ago, we moved into this new facility. This is an incredible purpose-built facility. And a little bit later on, we'll show you some of the pictures specific to our school. So we are, as I mentioned, the first international school of the BASIS China group. So it started in 2015, and we moved to this new campus in just this last year. We now have almost 1,800 students in the pre-K through grade 12 configuration. So we are an American curriculum school, so we go by year groups or grades. So we start as young as age 3 in pre-K1. Then our early childhood division consists of pre-K1, pre-K2, and kindergarten. Then students shift to the primary division. That's the division that Mark Hartley here is in charge of. And that's grades 1 through 5. Next, students move on to the middle school, grades 6 through 8. And then the final grouping is our high school, 9 through 12. So it has a pretty traditional configuration, similar to a lot of other American type of schools. After 12th grade, of course, students go on to colleges and universities all around the world, mainly, however, in the United States and the UK and Canada. The majority of our students are targeting those countries as places to go. A number of them also stay locally, perhaps, and go to Hong Kong universities, and maybe a few here in China. But the vast majority are looking to matriculate to colleges and universities in those 3 countries. Our program, as the second bullet point there on the left, the academic program is incredible with extraordinary successes. And it's coupled with a strong athletics program as well as a fine arts. So we are a liberal arts, we call ourselves a liberal arts school, very much college preparatory, but we want to develop well-rounded students. So they have not only the academic success and the training and the skills and the knowledge to succeed after this school in college and university, but they also have interests and passions and skills and talents in athletics and sport, in addition to the fine and performing arts. So our students are busy. The school day starts at 8, and for the majority of students, it goes until 3:20. But for high school students, it goes actually to 4:20, another 9th period. And it's a very rigorous, advanced, accelerated program. In the high school, it's rooted in AP, College Board types of courses. And there's a requirement that students will take at least 5 in order to graduate AP level courses in the high school. So then working back from those very high standards in the high school, middle school is likewise the precursor to that and the prerequisites. Students take in the middle school 3 different sciences, for example, chemistry, biology, and physics. And then our math track is also quite accelerated. And then I'll speak a little bit more about the unique features of our teachers. Before we do that, we want to take a few little pictures of our campus. So inside that beautiful building that we have, which is basically a $250 million build by our parent company, Ascend International School Group. This has been an extraordinary investment in long-term development here in Shenzhen. So we have a top view of the campus, as you can see from the top left. And you could see that on the 6th floor, on the one side of the building, there's a beautiful garden. So we got a 6th floor garden, and that round building there is a planetarium that we can use for our students to study astronomy and other kinds of things associated with that kind of field. We have a 666-seat theater that's down below, which we call the auditorium. It's a multi-purpose space. We have one of the most beautiful pools that I've ever seen anywhere, not just in a school, but anywhere, including country clubs and athletics facilities. That's done at the ground level, so a 6-lane swimming pool. A picture of the garden is there on the bottom right. And then up on the top right is a picture of our classrooms. So all of our classrooms are kitted out in a similar way with very flexible furniture, and every classroom has an interactive Huawei smartboard embedded in one of the walls. In addition to that, we have all purpose-built facilities for the sciences, so laboratories for chemistry, biology, and physics, both in the middle school and in the high school. And then we have a black box theater. We have 2 very large gymnasiums. We have a beautiful outdoor playing field with a soccer pitch and a track. and all the other kinds of things that you would imagine a school of this size and caliber to have. It is a busy place. It's a big place. And with the 1,800 students we have and over 250 teachers and various staff, it's a thriving place that happens every single day. Now I will talk about our teachers. Our teachers are quite extraordinary. As I mentioned, we have over 200 teachers. We have them grouped really in what we call subject expert teachers, or what we call SETs. And then we also have a group of learning enhancement teachers, otherwise known as LETs. And the learning enhancement teachers are teachers who support the teachers from the grades in pre-K all the way up through grade 5. When students get into the middle school, grade 6 through 8, that's when the learning enhancement teachers are no longer part of the configuration. But it's really an extraordinary type of program that we have, taught by incredible teachers. Our teachers primarily come from English-speaking countries around the world. However, we have representation from over, I think it's almost 25 different nationalities now. And they are very well qualified, highly experienced, driven, and committed group of teachers. So we have those who specialize, of course, in teaching kids in the early years, in primary years, of course, in the middle school, and then teenagers in secondary. And as I said a little bit earlier about the program, because it is focused very highly on academic success, the expectations we have for our teachers in terms of their results, their experience, and their skill set is really quite high. So we want to surround you, if you come to our school, with other excellent teachers, because we well know that you learn a lot from the people from whom you work with, and also from your direct supervisors. So we want to put you in a place where you have just very excellent colleagues. Our teachers, likewise, not only are they skilled in the classroom, but they commit themselves to the whole community. So like many really awesome schools, we expect teachers to get involved in the activities and the clubs program. So that could be a sponsor of a particular club. It could be a coach of a team. It could be somebody who coaches, for example, the speech and debate program, or anything like that. We have a couple different ways that we do the clubs. We have, in some cases, teachers who have an interest and a passion and a skill set, and they could sponsor a particular club and then gather club members to do something like that. Or we have in the secondary, we have student organized clubs, and then they'll ask a respective teacher to serve as their faculty sponsor in that regard. So it's expected, that you as a teacher here would get involved in the co-curricular program and really commit to big contributions in the overall school community. Let me just end about our teachers. If you come to our school, we can guarantee that because of the professional development that we have and the support of the supervisors, your colleagues, your chairs, and people in management like myself and Mark here, that you're going to leave a better teacher than when you came to our school. There's a couple of our teachers right there. And it's an event that we had recently where we had a social event and we had a Floral Friday dress theme associated with that. So those two guys really took that to heart, and we had a really great time on a Friday afternoon with that. So as I mentioned about our teachers, and this is not unique to our school, but it's very unique to BASIS China. So we have what we call a culture of coaching and observation. So that culture of observation and teaching professionalism really is associated with what we call this teaching nexus. Now, this is an approach, a concept really born by our governance, and the board got behind this and basically said, this is what's going to be unique about our school. and our whole network system. So with the many schools that we have, we thrive in that particular network and we leverage that network. So it's common across all the BASIS China schools, this particular focus on the teaching nexus. It has to do with all of the leaders in the school, myself as the head of school, division heads like Mark here and others. So we have a division head for early childhood, primary, middle, and high. And then we have a whole layer of chairs of respective departments. So for our school of this size, we have 10 leaders who are leaders of divisions and vice heads of divisions. And then we have 20 chairs across all of the different disciplines and subject areas. Some of those are unique to a particular division. So there, for example, would be a high school math chair, and then a middle school math chair. And then in the primary school, there'll be a math and science chair. And likewise, in the early childhood, not focused on mathematics, but just focused on more broad educational subjects there. But then we have some chairs that span the entire school. So for example, we have Chinese chair that goes K to 12. We have an early English language learning program, ELLs we call it. Likewise, the PE chair spans K through 12. So some of them are division specific and some of them are across the whole school. All of these people are here to support you as a teacher. The support comes in a variety of different ways, and that's the third bullet point down on this particular slide here, and that is a lot of observations in classes. So when we talk about a culture of observation, you'll come to BASIS and it'll probably be the school where you will be observed most frequently. By far, it's the most observations I've done, and even all of us also teach, and we get observed as teachers. So all of the chairs, all of the managers, the division heads, myself. So we'll have people come in and critique our teaching by doing these kinds of observations too. So there's a lot of observations that happen by myself, by division heads like Mark, by chairs. And then we also have another group that is across the entire BASIS China network called Chief Instructional Officers. They're called CIOs for short, and they travel around from campus to campus and they assist us in doing these different observations. Now, when we do these observations, we're not looking for things that teachers are doing wrong. Instead, we're looking where you're making very good choices and you're having positive outcomes and success with our students. So we're looking for the right things that you're doing in the classroom, and then we're celebrating those and giving that positive feedback that allows you to thrive in an environment like that. And the look-fors that we have are associated with what we call the teaching and learning domains. So we have 4 of those, and they're focused on very specific areas of quality teaching, what we know as best practice in teaching. And those would be the things that we'd be looking for and we'd be making comments about. And the comments are done in that second part, what we call these PL logs, what I just call plogs for short, similar to the word like blogs. It's just a blending of those. And these PL logs, we write in a big database, and then we share them with you as teachers, and then they're followed up with what we call coaching conversations. So that last bullet point there. So we'll sit down and we'll have a conversation about either a single observation or a group of observations, and we'll benchmark that against these particular standards that we have, these teaching and learning domain standards, and we'll just ask questions and get you to reflect on what you feel like and what you thought about how you manifest success on these particular, what we call strands of the domains. Right? And then that's coupled with another feature that's really important, and an annual goal that you will create, a SMART-based kind of goal. And with these various metrics, then we can basically help standardize the performance and the quality, not only of your work as a teacher, but across the entire division, across the entire school, and also across really the entire network of schools beyond our school overall. And let me just end this by saying too that in that broader sense, when you come and work for us, you'll be working, of course, either at a respective grade level or maybe in a couple different grade levels in a department. Not only will you have the support of people like us, but you'll have your chair support. But across the network, we have this one position. It's called a course advisor. And you'll find there's a lot of acronyms in BASIS, so we call that a CAD. And that particular person is a teacher at one of the schools. So we have a number of CADs who are here who serve as a course advisor for all the teachers across the entire BASIS China network so that we have consistency and alignment in all of the schools regarding those particular subjects and grade levels. So let me support that with an example. So we would have a CAD, for example, for physics 7th grade. So there is a course advisor and then a set of curriculum documents and expectations and standards and content standards and unit plans for that particular physics 7 class. And then you, if you were a 7th grade physics teacher, you would meet with that CAD on Teams, like similar to this, like the Zoom call, on a regular basis. And then you'd be supported at the school by your chair to make sure that you're hitting the expectations for the course. You're moving in a pacing guide that's appropriate for that respective course. And then you would be measured by these benchmarks that happen on a quarterly basis that the students take. So it's really a comprehensive and quite thorough ecosystem that we have for teachers, and it's related to your growth and development. And as I mentioned at the outset, we want you to be a better teacher, not only every day, incrementally getting better, but over time to really just be a superb and excellent teacher. And if you choose to leave at some point, to be a better teacher when you leave, but we want you to stay and continue here working for us as well.
Right, I think we can give Dr. Adams a bit of a break now. He's spent far too much time talking. I've already introduced myself, and I'm here to talk through a few little bits with you and share some other little insights into what happens down here in Shenzhen. Great picture. I've got rid of the beard now, and hopefully that will go. Yeah, that picture will change in some time. But I am a scientist, and when we look at what we can do with our students within science and within the resources that we've got, it does provide warmth for us science teachers, because the next slide we're going to be specifically looking at our students, and I'm going to talk a little bit about them. Our students, from my experience, and that's within 2 of BASIS schools, but I'm going to talk about Shenzhen here. Our students from the kindergarten up, from pre-K up, there is a driven feeling about them. They want to be successful. They want to be curious. They want to learn more. And Scott and I stand at the gate every morning welcoming a good number of them in. And to see the number who we have to stop running into school because they just love being here and love the experience that they have is quite heartening. They are busy kids. We as teachers, Scott mentioned about teachers being driven with the content and their subject. Our kids, our students are driven in the same way. They want to, well, they're like sponges. They want to have what our staff can provide for them, and then they want to take it further. And part of the teaching nexus is we're wanting to get our students to become deeper thinkers, critical thinkers, link what they're learning into the real world, and self-assess, self-reflect. All of these things, we believe these skills are key for them moving forward. And whilst they are local students that join us, they are all learning in a second language. They are all learning within the English language. And they are quite remarkable. From my experience of 20 years in the UK, a couple of years in Kenya, there are some, or I'd say a good majority of our students here, their language ability within English is amazing. And our teachers on a daily basis are in awe of what they are doing, because they're not just learning a rigorous curriculum, they're learning a rigorous curriculum in a second language. And they do it with remarkable aplomb. One of the other key things that I would like to really say about them is, you as a member of staff joining us here at Shenzhen will have not just autonomy in line with standards and pacing, but you will find that being able to teach children or students within your classes that on the whole are probably the best behaved students, I think, anywhere in the world, does really help. It means you can focus on really making sure they make significant progress, because they will just lap up anything that you want to provide for them. I said earlier that they are busy. They are. We are an academically rigorous school, but they also have these other aspects of the fine arts and athletics that they want to get involved with. And they do it, knowing that possibly they have to spend an awful lot of time afterwards just doing homework and doing that little bit extra to make sure that they are still making that progress within the classroom. But they're not just busy in school, they're busy outside of school. So don't be, if you're over here, don't be shocked when you find out that a good majority of these students are having extra classes outside of schools. The parents want their students, want their children to succeed. They want them to go to these, high achieving colleges and universities in the US, in the UK, and they will do anything that they possibly can to support that. But as staff here, we need to make sure that we're aware of that and that we can factor in what we're doing in order to make sure that their social and emotional well-being is looked after just as much as their academic success. So if you were to come here, you would find a great learning environment, a great place for you to work professionally. But I think the most important thing for me is students that you can build solid professional relationships with that allow you to see them truly thrive under your teaching. So please, if that's what you want, think about joining us for that, just for that reason. But also, obviously, as Scott said, for your own professional growth as well. Scott calls me MC Hartley, Master of Ceremonies. There's I'm not going to go into the main reasons about that, but
I will.
Yeah, I'm a British guy who likes to enjoy himself, and we want to make sure we have a good work-life balance here in Shenzhen. You can join a great school. You've seen what the facilities are like. Shenzhen has got an awful lot to offer anyone who comes down here, from superb green spaces just to wander around in, to fantastic restaurants, bars, museums. Everything is there for everyone. There is a culture of, I think, a larger number of expats within Shenzhen. It is a technology-based city, and it's probably one of the newer ones within China. But compared to the likes of Nanjing, Chongqing, and those types of areas, cities around this, there are a variety of opportunities for expats to get involved. There's a lot of different groups within the city that you can get involved in. Both Scott and I, Scott more than me, but more recently I've become more involved in a couple of groups of biking around the city, road biking, where we're traveling a little distance on a weekly basis. But there are great things for you to get involved with. The ship that you see in the bottom left-hand corner is actually stuck in the middle of a large complex of restaurants and bars. I still can't remember how it got there, but that's about a 10-minute taxi ride from where the school is and where the majority of our apartments are. It's called SeaWorld, and that's an interesting area for our staff to get involved with. A mixture of restaurants from Western to Chinese, and also I'd be foolish not to make mention to a great pub there. Scott wanted me to get the word in, but yes, a British pub called the George and Dragon, where a good number of our staff frequent of a Friday or Saturday if they want to let their hair down a bit. There's a fantastic Filipino band that will rock a variety of different genres of music. But we can see that in various areas. 30-minute taxi ride, you get over to the other side of Shenzhen, a place called Futian district. And there you can find very similar things to what's around the school here, but also there's an incredible art district over there, where the painting and the art, the pottery that you can see is just quite incredible. And then you can see the pictures. We are a city that's based on the coast. So we can get that wonderful smell of the sea coming in from the bay. Remarkable pieces of design, from new buildings to old buildings as you wander around, but also just the ability to walk, to experience the environment. So the last thing I suppose I really want to say is Shenzhen is a real gateway to the world around us. If you're looking to travel, the number of different countries, cities that you can get to very easily are significant. In my time in the last year, I've popped over to the Maldives, I've popped over to Thailand, I've traveled a variety of different areas in China, and it's all easily accessible, whether it's from the Shenzhen airport, whether it's from the great railways and high-speed trains that we've got here, to even a 30 minutes to 40-minute ferry crossing going over to Hong Kong, where that international airport just goes everywhere. So I would urge you to explore and research what Shenzhen can offer. It's not just a great BASIS network school, but it's a great place to live as well. And you will find, if you joined us, colleagues who will grab your arm to lead you in various directions in order to enjoy what happens outside of the school walls. So please, it's something for you to explore further, probably after this webinar. I can only throw in a few little snippets of what's on offer, but there is so much that you can explore on websites, etc. So just give yourself that time to have a look, and I'm sure you'll be jumping at the chance of getting involved and being here.
Well, Mark and Dr. Adams, thank you for sharing those insights. It's great. I mean, Shenzhen is such a dynamic place to be. We appreciate you sharing those insights. I'm sure we'll have some follow-up questions about some of the key pieces that you spoke about there. But Shenzhen is very dynamic, one of my favorite places in all of China, and a great place to be. To continue on, I wanted to share some insights about BASIS International Schools as a network. It's something that is different and unique as compared to some organizations. It's maybe just a one-off school or a small group of schools, but something to be aware of relative to our network of schools. We are an international network of schools. We do have 14 international and bilingual schools throughout Asia. And those are together under the BASIS Curriculum Schools Network, together with the BASIS Independent Schools in the United States, form the BASIS Curriculum Schools Network. You can see schools here across China in different cities, from Hangzhou to Guangzhou, Nanjing, of course, the school in Shenzhen we're speaking about today. We have our bilingual campus, 2 bilingual campuses in Shenzhen as well, Chengdu, Wuhan, and we have our early childhood center in Shenzhen as well. So very vibrant and growing network of schools centered around the BASIS curriculum. Really put simply, the BASIS curriculum is unique to our schools. As was previously mentioned, it is an accelerated AP-infused liberal arts curriculum. And really it comes down to the classroom experience that the students have in a very engaging way, where we look to enhance the learning of the students and help them rise to the level that we truly do believe they're capable of attaining. And you can see in the high school grades, again, there's AP courses that students take, but we really go beyond that, and they take post-AP courses as well to enhance their learning in a true college preparatory manner, to make sure that they're really prepared for the high level of universities that they do determine to attend. The middle school, again, very liberal arts. It's really building on the learning capabilities. We have a very strong science program. We actually have probably one of the strongest social sciences programs as well, where the students will take multiple AP courses in social sciences and histories. The primary model is a co-teaching model, as was explained earlier by Dr. Adams, where we have the learning enhancement teacher, we have the subject teacher, and it's the combination between the two where the subject teacher is really focused on the depth of the content and the lessons that they prepare. So lessons are engaging, they're interesting. Students are provided with really high engagement and ability to understand the content that they're working on, and the individual needs of the students are being met through that co-teaching model as well. And then we have a very play-based early childhood education division as well, where it's play-based, they're engaging, they're inquiring, they're figuring things out, developing problem-solving skills, and really just developing that love of engaging and learning things through different manners that really age appropriate. In terms of what that means and the results, as students do graduate across our network as a whole, so not any single school, but across the network as a whole, we have 97% of our students are accepted into the top 50 US universities and international equivalents. We also have 67% of all the graduates across our network being accepted into top 30 US universities and similar equivalents, like schools like Oxford, Cambridge, you can see there, Harvard, MIT, Princeton. We also have students who pursue the arts and attending fabulous schools like the Rhode Island School of Design, Chicago Arts College, a number of other universities that really enhance and are able to, students are able to pursue the depth of their interests, regardless of what they might be. So again, we really just want to impress on your mind that, you know, our curriculum is something that is really found on a true belief that students are capable of more than we've come to expect of them. It is accelerated, it is challenging, but it's something that we really want to provide an exceptional educational experience for those students. With that, I will bring Layla in. Layla is the international recruiter that works directly with our school in Shenzhen, and she'll share some more insights, helpful to be aware of and what to know in considering the opportunity of teaching in China and teaching with our network. So Layla, I'll turn it to you.
Thank you guys so much. And I know my camera wasn't on, but you guys, Dr. Adams and Mark, you guys are making me giggle the whole time. I really appreciate your guys' humor, and just really enjoyable being around you guys. So thank you so much for all your insights and everything, and the humor. So, all right, I'm not going to talk too much because I don't, for the sake of redundancy, I don't want to cover things that have already been covered. I do want to talk a little bit, especially for those who have never been to China, are curious about China, maybe have only traveled to China but not lived there, touch a little bit more on why teaching in China is pretty awesome. So teaching in China offers a really unique opportunity to experience one of the world's oldest and most fascinating cultures. In China, you can immerse yourself in these really rich traditions, explore historical landmarks like the Great Wall. I actually last month just went to the Great Wall. I popped over to Beijing and just outside of Beijing to the Great Wall during my trip there. It's very easy. Also customs, festivals, delicious food, things like that. China also offers teachers ample opportunity to explore various regions around China. I think you heard Mark Hartley said he popped over to the Maldives, which if you're in the United States, like I am, not so easy to pop over to a country. So China very much so, and specifically Shenzhen is just a gateway to so many countries and different regions in the world. There's also easy access to cultural hotspots like Shanghai, Beijing, Hong Kong's just right across the water. And then, like Mark Hartley mentioned, Thailand, Vietnam. I know many teachers that went to Japan over this past summer. It's just so easy to travel. And I think, in all honesty, that's one of the reasons why we go abroad to teach, is just to explore the world. So very, very doable in China. It's also really convenient and easy to live in China. Virtually everything is kept or done via your phone. Accessing your apartment or all forms of payment, you can just tap your phone. It's super easy. I never have to leave with a purse or a wallet or anything like that. I just have everything on my phone. Travel is really easy with all the metros, subways, also China's form of Uber, which is Didi, very and fairly inexpensive, and it will show up within minutes, if not seconds. Sometimes they're already there as soon as you tap it on your phone. You also can purchase items through this website called Taobao, and amongst others, I think, and things are delivered to your door within hours. One time I told one of the school faculty that I really liked her hat, and I think an hour later it had showed up to the school. She bought it for me because I said I liked her hat. So it's just really convenient and easy. It's very safe in China. Women, I can speak from my own personal experience. I feel really comfortable and safe walking around even by myself and at night. And there's top-notch healthcare in China in major cities. Cost of living is very reasonable. It enables you to save a significant portion of your earnings, even when you have a family, and especially true with the package of benefits that we offer, which I'll get into in a little bit. And if you're looking for a country where education is valued and teachers are valued, then China is that place. Teaching in China, in my opinion, is more than just a job. It's a fulfilling experience. So your contributions to students' academic and personal growth is highly valued. It's actually important. You're actually doing what you want to do as a teacher, which is teach. Working with students who are eager to learn is deeply rewarding as well, especially for teachers who are very passionate about education. Mark also touched on the students at BASIS, and I can echo that sentiment. They are quite impressive. I had a full conversation with a second grader one time, and I just couldn't believe I was having that level of conversation with a second grader. Also humorous conversations, so they're pretty awesome. Yeah, and this is the slide I probably won't go into too much, since I think most of these topics were covered already. One additional point that I'll make is that I hear from teachers so much. They want to be part of a community, of a school that is a community of teachers and educators. And our school is just that. Like, the teachers talk teacher to each other, and they come from all over the world. We are, what we kind of refer to as a curriculum agnostic school. So we don't look for teachers with experience necessarily in specific curriculum or country or background, anything. We just look for good teachers. And what that means is you can learn so much more from good teachers that maybe are just good at teaching in a different way or come from a different background. And that's how you as a teacher become a more holistic and well-rounded. And then also providing your expertise and background to other teachers and bounce ideas off each other. I think it's a really, really cool dynamic environment to be a part of. As far as the growing BASIS network goes, just last year, we opened 3 new campuses in our network. And then the year before and the year before and the year before is one new school, one new school, one new school. So what that means is, with a growing network, means more opportunity for you as an educator to grow in your career and just develop as a teacher. We are a very well connected network. We truly do work as a network rather than individual islands of campuses. So you will have regular meetings with teachers of the same subject from your other campuses, almost like departmentally, but amongst the different campuses. And so really cool, very, very unique to BASIS thing. All right, so briefly about the benefits. We have world-class visa assistants and HR teams at BASIS, sometimes too good. And for them too, it's not even, I don't ever get the feeling that it's a job. They genuinely care about their teachers' well-being. All your flights are, booked on your behalf. They work with you about logistics. They care about making sure that your family gets to China safely or between cities in China. They arrange airport pickup for you. I even always have airport pickup arranged for me in China, and some lovely person greeting me right outside the customs age. Very, very nice. So your flight to China for you and if you have a spouse and up to 2 school-age children, flights will be covered for your family. Annual airfare allowance so that you can either go back home or maybe travel with your family, as well as repatriation. So when your contract is up, you'll have a flight to your home country thereafter. Housing is fully provided. So imagine that, not having to pay for an apartment every month, or your housing or mortgage, or if you have a mortgage at home that you're still paying off, you can easily do that because you're not paying for rent in China or with us in BASIS. Global health coverage, including the US for US citizens. Also wild. I'm an American citizen. I never had healthcare in the US. I just had to cross my fingers every time I went home to visit. We mentioned up to 2 children tuition benefits. So we talked about how amazing BASIS is, and just imagine your children getting that same level of education. Free meals at school, and they're delicious. There's multiple different lines of different types of cuisines, mostly Chinese, and then I think, what do they call it, expat or foreign or American menu, and then retirement bonus. So it's not necessarily like paid out into a 401k or a retirement plan, but you do every year get 10% annual, so 10% of your salary as a retirement bonus that you can put towards your own retirement and whatever that looks like for you. Also completion bonus and additional bonus opportunities every year. So what do we require? What do we look for? The way we deliver subject expertise to our students is by the teacher being a subject expert. So what that means is we are looking for teachers that have a degree within their subject area. For primary teachers, that is elementary education, ECE, early childhood education. And then for a secondary, so middle and high school, we're looking for math majors, biology, physics, all the subjects. We're looking for a minimum of a bachelor's degree. However, most of our teachers do have master's and higher degrees within education or their subject. 2 full years of teaching experience is also a requirement for China visa purposes. Also, we're looking for very experienced teachers, but the 2 full year is a China requirement for visa application. Of course, a passion for teaching, willingness to collaborate with and elevate your colleagues. You need to have high academic standards because the students certainly do for themselves. The kids work hard, as Mark said, so our teachers work equally, if not harder. Ability to engage young minds, as they said as well, they're very curious young kids and they want to learn. And then there are some current visa restrictions here and there that on a case-by-case basis we can discuss, or you can do some research about on your own about your applicability for a visa. Just a couple of quick things to keep in mind. Despite this being an international school, most of our students are local students. You heard that their English is, for the most part, all around pretty impeccable. So they're learning in the language that we're instructing, which is English, and they need to be up to par with that level of content in English, but they are still primarily local students, which means they are Chinese. Small percentage are going to be kids of other nationalities, mainly faculty members' children. Flexibility is very important. Schools are, this campus in particular is our flagship school, but you know, we don't think that we have a completely set and complete system, ecosystem. We're always, you know, eager to learn and grow. So we expect our teachers to be flexible in that as well. And we talked about family a little bit. If you have a child or more than one child that you are looking obviously to bring with you, please keep in mind that this is a very challenging, rigorous environment. It's not so common to enroll a kid, you know, beyond primary. And the reason being is because starting in 6th grade, our students are learning algebra, biology, chemistry, and physics. So just keep in mind, ask your kid, is this going to be a good fit for you? Because we want it to be a good fit for absolutely everyone, including your kid.
Thanks, Layla. Appreciate those insights. One thing I'll say is if you want some additional insights on working with our school in Shenzhen or any of our campuses across the network, you can find some great information and insights on the schools, on the experience that our teachers share with us, share with you through our social channels. So you can see the social channels there. You'll see us posting some information, insights about happenings, events on the schools, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You can see videos of similar things happening on YouTube or on TikTok as well. We do have a blog where individuals the individual teachers have kind of shared aspects of their experience, providing insight on unique aspects of teaching with BASIS or living in China. So you can get a lot of really good information firsthand from the people that are there through the blog. You can also see specific opportunities and positions that we'll have coming up through our career site. And then you can also join our talent community. By joining the talent community, you'll be kept up to date on new developments, enhancements, events at the schools, happenings around the network, and notified of new positions based on what it is that you're looking for when they do come available. So with that, we will move on to the Q&A portion of the presentation. I actually do have one that, Scott, maybe if I can maybe jump in and ask. You talked a lot about the coaching and that culture that we do have in the schools. Can you share any feedback on what teachers have had relative to that? Because I know some teachers in other environments, they think of observation. It's kind of, you know, there's other cultures where it's kind of a gotcha moment, or, you know, somebody coming in to tell them what they're doing wrong. Obviously very different, but what has been the feedback? So you kind of outlined the structure and what we're doing, but what have teachers said about how that actually plays out?
Okay, thank you so much. Before I answer that question, Tim, I just want to indicate that Mark obviously is no longer with us. He had to shoot off and go teach his class. So he's over there being a scientist, as he indicated. Our culture of observation is intended, as I mentioned a little bit earlier on, to be one of support. That's the word we use routinely. And when we think about support, it's what I made reference to, and that is looking for those kinds of things that are working in a class that are aligned directly to our teaching and learning domain. So let me just summarize again. We got these 4 domains that are primarily associated with teaching. For evaluation, we have 2 others. One, teaching domain 5 or T&L 5, which is about your professional development. And then number 6 is about your contributions to the school community. But 1 through 4 are focused directly on your work in the classroom with the students, with the curriculum, standards, assessment, and so on. What I call, you know, CIA, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Let me just answer the question first with an example, and that is, I just got an email from a teacher who we saw recently. I say we because I went with a colleague of ours, or mine, in the middle school to go see an art teacher. And one of the options we have when we give these responses in those PL logs that I mentioned before, so we have this database, the cloud. Basically, it's BASIS Global Cloud. And then we post our responses there. And then we can ask the teacher to reflect. There's a little radio button that we hit saying, we would like you to reflect on this. We try to pose questions in there upon which the reflection will be built. And his email said, I finished reflecting. I posted that, I uploaded that. And I just want to say to you, thanks for being so specific about the things that you commented on about the class, because I hadn't thought about those things yet. And it was good for me to see those questions and then to reflect on how I perceived what was going on and what I was intending to do and how it was actually delivered. And I'm going to seek ways to improve and make adjustments, in the future. So just that little example served as maybe an accelerator or a flywheel to get him, in this particular case, a male teacher, to consider something like that. So when you add all those little pieces together, I call it a mosaic. We have now a mosaic, a picture of a teacher's performance, and it allows for them then to look at, okay, how have they been doing? And then where are they moving along? And how are they growing, developing, improving? And then when we punctuate those observations with conversations like this, so imagine sitting together here in my office, for example, and then we go through and we basically summarize some of the observations, not in a way that we as the managers or the observers just deliver, but instead a true conversation asking the teacher to reflect on what's working, what do you think is having success in your classes, and where might you be able to make improvements. So we start with the locus of responsibility and control within them, and then we try to work from that particular place to an area of growth and development that they can identify, versus it being all coming from the outside. As you said, Tim, a little bit earlier, it's not a gotcha scenario. Yes, we expect our teachers to perform at a high level. Yes, we expect excellent instruction, but we recognize we're all humans too. Every day is not going to be perfect, right? So we want to make sure that we can look at the broad picture and then allow teachers to thrive, to meet targets, expectations, to achieve their SMART goal, and then to really contribute successfully to the teaching and learning in their particular classes.
So as far as questions that have been submitted, Layla, do you want to maybe start on?
How is the transportation in public, how is the public transportation in Shenzhen?
Oh, it's extraordinary. I mean, it is the best. And I know Layla said earlier on about a lot of things being quite the best. I have to tell you, so this is my first time living and working in China. So I just started 2.5 years ago. And when you move to some place, or prior to moving to a place, you have expectations about it. Now, I spent a long time in Tokyo, and I had visited China numerous times just as a tourist. So I knew what kind of to expect, but I had never been to Shenzhen. I'd been to Hong Kong quite a few times, but never to Shenzhen. So I had a certain expectation about it. It far exceeded my expectation. And I'm saying we, because my wife works here as well. And it is the cleanest, the safest city just anywhere. And Tokyo was incredibly clean and safe. And you made a kind of a joke about Didi. So Didi is the Uber here. And when you said that, I was talking to Mark, and literally just this past weekend, when I called for a car, I hit the button, and I kid you not, 10 seconds later, the car was right there in front of us. It's as if the guy was stalking us and saying, this couple needs a ride. So that's the Didi service. And we went shopping, and we went out to lunch, and the equivalent in US dollars to get for like a 20-minute car ride to Futian was probably $2.50 or something like that. So one way. The metro system is extraordinary. So the metro system, the closest station's just outside the school grounds here, literally less than a 5-minute walk away. And it is, again, one of the most clean, safe, on time, incredible public transportation system that I've ever experienced. And again, I was in Tokyo for a long time, and I thought that was the standard. So incredibly extraordinary. In addition to that, if you want to walk, easily walkable, a lot of the teachers have e-bikes, little electronic scooters, basically. I chose not to. I like to pedal, so I'm old-fashioned. So I have a city bike. I have a 6-speed city bike that I ride around. Shenzhen is very flat, so you can get anywhere quite easily, and the weather is nice all year long. In addition to that, there's all these, like in New York City, there's city bikes. You can rent an actual bike or an e-bike. They have those here too. So, and those cost literally cents. I mean, I ride across town for less than $1 on one of these bikes. You just zap it with your phone and then off you go. So transportation is really excellent here.
Thanks for that. Next question is from Larissa. She heard us talk about the rigorous academics at the school. How are the athletic programs?
I think the athletic programs similarly of high caliber and high quality. So we're involved in 2 different leagues. So we are what's called the CSAC League. That's the league in and around with independent private schools here in this area in Shenzhen, broader Shenzhen. Shenzhen is inside Guangdong province. And then we are also in the Pearl River Delta League. So the Pearl River Delta passes by Guangzhou, comes down and spills into the bay here. And that's a bigger area, and we're involved in that particular league too. In addition to that, we compete with BASIS schools. So at least 2 times a year, we have our own BASIS tournaments. So, one time in the north part, and we all travel there, and then another time down here, and we host that southern tournament. So we have high caliber teams in all the different sports, and we have just really exceptional quality for our students, and the coaching is quite good too. In some cases, we have our own coaches, so teacher coaches, our PE coaches, and then other cases we hire in coaches from the outside. And let me just basically conclude by saying our students are incredibly committed, as Mark said about them, not only in the classroom, but in terms of athletics and the fine arts too. And so after school's over, you know, they do their sports practice or games on the weekends as well. And then, you know, they hit the books and they do their studying. So they're very well-rounded and very driven, committed, and excellent at time management.
And then on the note, this one just came in, but it's on the note of athletics. So do you promote rock climbing in your school?
We do have a rock climbing wall in one of the gymnasiums. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, we got 2 gymnasiums. And we do that as part of an activity. I don't know if we do it yet in PE because I'm unsure at the moment how many of our PE teachers are certified to do that belaying. But I know we offer it as an after-school activity.
Awesome.
And let me summarize that question by saying we have some of our students who do it on their own. There's a girl in the high school who is in 9th grade this year, and she just competed in the World Championship rock climbing competition, and she placed in the top 5 in her age group. I know that because she missed a week's worth of school in which to do that. So I asked, well, why are you missing a week's worth of school to do this? Oh, I happen to be going to the World Championship rock climbing competition that I qualified for. And after it was all over, I asked her parents, well, how did she do? Oh, she got 4th in this particular competition, 3rd in this other one, 5th in this other one. And it was just amazing, right? Results.
This is more of a personal question, but I'll ask it in a more like general way. So this person's moving to China with a family, non-teaching spouse, middle school age child, and 2 large dogs. So there's a lot of people that are traveling like this, right? With their families and bringing pets and stuff like that. What would be the standard accommodation for a family size like this, like a spouse and a kid and maybe 2 dogs?
We benchmark the accommodations to the family size. So basically the difference is the number of bedrooms that you would have. And also just the total square meters of a particular space. The new apartment building that we have, I didn't mention that a little bit earlier on in that big picture of the school. but the school has contiguous to it, on the same footprint of land, is a 30-story apartment complex that just opened just a few weeks ago. So it was being built during the first year that the school portion was open, and so it's all brand new. So we have teachers who have moved in there, and various staff. I live in there, for example, and the general manager and some other people also live there. And it's all just basically assigned by family size. Pets are allowed. I've seen dogs on various sizes. So it is very pet friendly associated with that. And you know, around the school, in terms of walking pets, Mark made mention of a lot of green spaces. I've been very impressed. Around the school, within a 15-minute walk, there's there's 3 different parks that you can go to, and a lot of, you know, very walkable streets and roads to take pets out.
One thing I might add, just, you know, to specifically answer that question. So if there's a family that has, you know, a spouse and a child, you'd have a 2-bedroom apartment. It's typically what is provided.
Yeah. The next question is, if you could, asking you, Scott, specifically, if you could speak on your thought process on choosing Shenzhen over other cities in China. Like, why, how did you come to that conclusion?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I had considerations in various other places. One had to do with Shenzhen is a very international city. In 1979, it was created by the Chinese government as the first international trade zone. And so as a result of that, it's become a hub of international companies. And particularly, it's like the Silicon Valley of China. A lot of tech companies are here: Tencent, Huawei, the parent company for TikTok, Apple China is headquartered here. A lot of the electric car companies have headquarters that are here. So incredible tech organization. So I chose it mainly for that, and also access to both Hong Kong and Shenzhen international airports. As Mark indicated, literally just across the bay is Hong Kong. You can get there in 30 minutes by ferry. You can cross over the bridge. You could take a bullet train from Futian. The bullet train takes literally 13 minutes to get to downtown Hong Kong. We have friends who I used to teach with in Tokyo who work at HKIS, which is Hong Kong International School. So we go over there and have lunch with them on a Sunday. It's a day trip. We go and have lunch with them and come back. And so it's quite easy. Macau is really close by, similarly, ferry ride away. So easy access to various other places in China. And then there's a high-speed train station here in Shenzhen. And then you can go any place, you know, north and northeast to get anywhere else in China. So it's very well situated geographically. So I chose, you know, for those particular reasons. And more importantly, this awesome school. I mean, this is the best. Now, of course, I'm biased, but this is the best school in BASIS China. It's the original school. It's the flagship school. So we want to be the best, and it just has had an extraordinary history and success. And I just felt like this would be the place for me.
So I think, again, we're talking a lot about the academics here. In addition to the question about athletics, this question is about fine arts programs. Does the school have plays, musicals, and shows, things like that?
Absolutely. That is one of the best parts about our school. We stage numerous shows. So we have straight dramas, and then we have various kinds of musicals. The musicals perhaps don't happen right now on an annual basis. Typically, the big ones, I mean, at the grade levels, for example, in primary schools, each one of the grades does a various musical production at the end of the year. But the big, like, high school, middle school ones, they alternate with sort of straight dramas. So we have, again, both a black box theater, and then we have this large multi-purpose auditorium theater space where we can stage different kinds of productions. In addition to that, let me extend the answer a little bit beyond that to the band program and the choir program, incredible. Just we have the most talented musicians that you can imagine. And, you know, both in traditional sort of orchestra and strings instruments. We have a course where students take an elective course in rock band. We have one of the most brilliant rock bands ever, singing classic rock and roll songs from around the world, mainly US and British bands. Pretty extraordinary. And, you know, in addition to that, we have a lot of art shows. So it's not the performing arts, but it's the fine arts. And we put on these, you know, art shows that we stage not only in the school, so we have some pop-up art shows, but we also, at the end of the year, we hire out one of the local Shenzhen art facilities, and then we take all the student art down there, and for an entire weekend, for the community in Shenzhen here, we open it up to all the students to be able to, and the community to come see all the wonderful artwork from the early childhood all the way through grade 12. Extraordinary range of artwork that the students display there. So our fine arts program is just exceptional, and it is just a fabulous thing. So yeah, it's just one of the great things about the school.
And I'll just maybe add to that, you know, in terms of, you know, the displaying at the art center, it's not just like a local gallery or something like this is the art center for all of Shenzhen, where the famous displays and exhibits from around the world are displayed. It's really a great honor to be able to have, you know, the center hosting our students' artwork. It really is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Those are, there's, I think that's it. Let me see. Yeah, no, last thing was thank you for your answers. So I think that's a wrap.
Excellent. Well, Mark's not here, but Barry Barracuda is here. So he's been replaced by our mascot. So we are the Barracudas. So thank you again for joining. We just hope that you find this very interesting and aligned with your professional goals. And we hope that you're interested in, you know, considering Shenzhen International School here at the BASIS Network. And perhaps we can have you here as one of our teachers.
Awesome.
Well, Scott, thanks so much for your time, the insights you've provided. And Layla, thank you as well. Again, to those attending, if you want to find more information about opportunities at our school in Shenzhen or across the network, please, you know, follow us on our social channels. You can apply to positions on our career site and see more information from some of our teachers that they've shared about their experience in China with the network on our blog. Appreciate the time. Appreciate you joining us today, and have a wonderful day or wonderful evening.